What's good, ladies and gents? Welcome to the MKO Pugilism Boxing channel where we talk all things boxing. So, remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, put it on all so you get notified of all the latest content as and when it drops on the channel. So, let's get into some of this weekend's action. So, there's a good card going on in Las Vegas, Nevada. And we're going to talk about one of the fights that's happening on that card. One of the brothers, which is Jose Benavidez, brother of David Benavidez, the older of the Benavidez brothers. And he's going to be taking on Jermall Charlo. And this is a comeback fight for Jermall Charlo. He has been out of the ring in excess of 2 years, and there's a lot of controversy around him. I mean, the WBC have allowed him to keep their belt for those 2 years, despite not having a fight against anybody or, any clear plans to actually defend the belt. They've kept him as full champion in the middleweight division. This fight will take place at a catch weight of, I believe, 163 pounds. Correct me if I'm wrong in that, but that's the way I heard of. And taking on Benavidez, Jose Benavidez. And for me, this will be quite an interesting fight. Jermall Charlo is clearly the guy that prior to his layoff would have been a big favorite over Benavidez, because Benavidez is a guy that's been campaigning at middleweight for the most part. He's boxed over middleweight. What am I talking about? Welterweight, sorry. He's been boxing mainly at welterweight, and I think he's had a few at light middle, a few sort of above the welterweight limit, but never really at 160, and this is at 163. So Benavidez is really kind of a welterweight slash, let's say, light middle or super welterweight, as they like to call it today. And Charlo, he's a middleweight. And it's going to be quite interesting because you're going to be having a guy now that prior to this fight and go back a few years, big favorite Charlo, no problem. He takes care of Benavidez. Benavidez is a guy that's boxed at sort of high level welterweight, was an opponent of Terence Crawford. He took Terence Crawford into the 12th round. Was stopped, but he gave Crawford a fight. He gave him. I mean, I don't think the winner was ever in doubt, but he gave him a run. He gave Crawford rounds, and he was tough enough to get himself right to the last part of that fight. So he's a tough guy, but naturally he's going to be the smaller man going in there against Charlo. But what he does have in his favor is the fact that Charlo has not boxed in 2 years plus. So it's one of those where he can definitely take that as an encouragement going into this camp, Benavidez, that okay, he doesn't have the advantage in size or anything like that, but you're dealing with a guy that's coming off a huge layoff, and no matter how good you are, with there's not really many exceptions to this. I mean, even a guy like Mayweather back in the days, even the great fighters of the past, after even 6 months to even after a year layoff, you're going to be affected by that. And Charlo's coming off of a 2 year layoff now. Of course, he would have been training, he would have been getting himself prepared for this, ticking over, but nothing quite matches being under those bright lights and being in an actual fight, the 10-ounce gloves. You could spar hundreds of rounds with the big 16, 18-ounce gloves against people, but it's not really the same as fighting. There's not the same jeopardy. There's not the same stakes on the line, when you're sparring as to when you're fighting. So Benavidez, he's been fighting, of course, no one to the caliber of Jermall Charlo, but he's been active, whereas Charlo's been completely and utterly inactive. So there is some jeopardy. There is a chance there for Benavidez, but for me, I'm still favoring Jermall Charlo to win this fight. I still think he's got enough to beat a guy like Benavidez. I think he will need to be on his P's and Q's. I think I can see Benavidez winning some of the rounds early, but my prediction is that Charlo will sort of turn the tables on him. I think Benavidez will be able to look good early. The first, let's say, the first sort of third of the fight, I think Benavidez will be able to look good and win some of those early rounds simply because of the ring rust. Because Charlo will need to get used to being in the ring again. He will need to get used to that pressure of fighting and how it feels and taking the punches again. He'll need to get used to all of that. And I think he will take a few rounds to get warmed up. But then I see Charlo sort of taking over from that second third of the fight, second half of the fight. I see Charlo winning a points decision, and I think that will be just mainly down to Charlo's better skills and better experience at the top level. He'll have that size advantage. I think it could even be a points decision for Charlo that is controversial, depending on how the ring rust affects him. I mean, if he's really badly affected by the ring rust, then it's going to be a very, very close fight, because Benavidez, while he's not a bigger guy and whatever, he's still a guy that is decent enough, and he can cause some problems in there. So I think this is going to be Charlo on points, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was a close fight. If it's Charlo only by 1 or 2 rounds, I mean that's the sort of result I'm expecting. I don't think Charlo will go in there and sort of bomb Benavidez out. I don't think he'll walk straight through him. I think it will be a close fight. He's coming off of a lot of inactivity, but ultimately for me, Jermall Charlo prevails in this fight. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Do you agree? Do you think Charlo is going to win this one on points? Do you think he'll take Benavidez out? Or maybe you think the opposite. Maybe you think Benavidez might catch him cold and take Charlo out or beat him on points or whatever. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And until next time, it's MKO Pugilism, over and out.